कृपा अंजन पायो मेरे भाई, राम बिना कछु देखत नाही। कृपा अंजन पायो मेरे भाई, राम बिना कछु देखत नाही। कृपा अंदर राम बाहर रामा, अंदर राम बाहर रामा, जहाँ देखो सो राम ही राम, जहाँ देखो सो राम ही राम, जहाँ देखो सो राम ही राम। कृपा अंजन पायो मेरे भाई, राम बिना कछु देखत नाही। कृपा जागत राम सोवत रामा, जागत राम सोवत रामा, सपनों में देखो राजाधिराम, सपनों में देखो राजाधिराम, सपनों में देखो राजाधिराम। कृपा अंजन पायो मेरे भाई, राम बिना कछु देखत नाही। कृपा एका जनार्दनी भावहीनी का, एका जनार्दनी भावहीनी का, जो देखो सो राम सरी 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 का। कृपा अंजन पायो मेरे भाई, राम बिना कछु देखत नाही। कृपा
सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति Shanti Shanti. Om Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marutaha Stunvanti Divyaistavaihi Vedai Sangapadakramopanishadaihi Gayanti Yam Samagaha Dhyanavasthita Tadgatena Manasa Pashyanti Yam Yoginaha Yasyantam na vidussura suraganaha Devaya tasmai namaha Devaya tasmai namaha. Humble prostrations to one and all. In the last class, we had seen Arjuna makes use of the feature of seeing the future, and there he finds that great warriors like Bhishma, Drona, Karna, and very many prominent warriors of Pandava forces also entering into the mouth of the Lord, entering into the jaws of death. Trembling in fear, Arjuna asks, Bhagwan, who are you? Because I have never seen you in this kind of frightening form. So please tell me who you are. Bhagwan introduces himself, saying, Kalosmi lokakshayakrit pravruddhaha. I am Lord Death. I am Kala Bhagavan, the mighty destroyer of all the worlds. Arjuna, now I have come to destroy all these people, these soldiers. Even if you don't fight, these soldiers in the Kaurava forces, they are not going to escape, they are going to die. Therefore, it is better you fight the war. So this is what Bhagavan says in the next verse. Let us chant verse number 33. Tasmat tvamuttishta yasho labhasva jitva shatrun bhungshva rajyam samruddham mayaivaite nihatav purvameva nimittamatram bhavasavyasachin. Tasmat tvamuttishta yasho labhasva jitva shatrun bhungshva rajyam samruddham mayaivaite nihatav purvameva nimittamatram bhavasavyasachin. Tasmat tvam uttishta. Bhagavan says, Tasmat, therefore, you stand up, get ready for the war. Because by all means, fighting the war alone is good for you. Yasholabhasva, fight the war and gain name, fame, recognition, etc. Because after the war, people will say, because of Arjuna's valor, Pandavas won the war. Generation after generation, people will sing your praise. As long as the world lasts, your yashas, your fame will remain in this world. Shatrun jitva samruddham rajyam bhungshva. Win over your enemies. Shatrun jitva, conquering your enemies. Samriddham rajyam bhungshva. Enjoy this kingdom which is samriddham, prosperous, and of course unrivaled. So enjoy this unrivaled, prosperous kingdom by conquering your enemies. Naturally, a question may come. So Arjuna asks, but Bhagavan, what is the guarantee that we will defeat the enemies? What is the guarantee? So Bhagavan says, Ete purvameva maya nihataha. Arjuna, know for sure that you are going to win the war. Know for sure that you are going to kill all these enemies. Because I have already killed them. Purvameva maya nihataha. They are killed by me already. Arjuna, I will tell you the result of this war right now. The war has not begun, but I will tell you the result of this war. You are going to win, and all these soldiers in the Kaurava force, who are so-called invincibles, Bhishma, Drona, Jayadratha, Karna, etc., they are going to be killed. I have already killed them. So you will have no difficulty in vanquishing them. It is like, the drama where the whole plot is already set. The whole story is pre-written. For example, if it is a Ramayana drama, Rama will shoot the arrow and Ravana has to fall dead. Even if the arrow may not hit Ravana in the stage, drama is being played, Rama is shooting the arrow, Ravana is standing there. Even if the arrow doesn't strike Ravana, Ravana has to fall. He has been told very clearly. The arrow may be made of cardboard, but Ravana has to fall by the impact of that cardboard arrow. In fact, Ravana will be waiting to fall the moment arrow hits him. Now, this is called pre-plotted drama. The story is already set, the characters are there just to play their part. In the movies also we see, the Gunda may be a huge fellow with bulging muscles, much bigger than the hero, but his strength is of no use. The instruction given to him is he should keep receiving blows from the hero. In real life, the Gunda has enough strength to throw the hero like a shot put. He can lift the hero effortlessly and smash him on the ground. But in the movie, he can't do that. He has to do what is told to him. He is supposed to get beaten up and die at the hands of the hero. So in the same way here also, Bhagavan says, Arjuna, I have already killed them. You just have to play a drama of killing them. Interestingly, in the second chapter, Lord had said, Hato va prapsasi swargam jitva va bhokshese mahim. Arjuna, if you die, you will get heaven. If you win, you can enjoy this world. This is what Bhagavan had said. Hato va prapsasi swargam. If you are killed, you will get the other world. If you win, you will get this world. But here, Bhagavan makes it very clear. Arjuna, you are not going to die. you are definitely going to win this war. So therefore, tasmat tvam uttishtha. Therefore, get up. That tasmat is that. Therefore. Therefore means what? Because you are going to win the war, because you are going to kill all these enemies, because you are going to enjoy this kingdom, the result is already finalized. Tasmat, therefore, Arjuna, uttishta, get up. Get up for what? Fight. Yuddhisva. Arjuna, get up and fight. But always remember, now a warning is given to Arjuna. What is the warning? Nimitta matram bhava, O Savyasachin. O Savyasachin. Arjuna is called Savyasachin here. What is Savyasachin? Savya means left hand. So the one who is capable of shooting the arrow efficiently even with the left hand is called Savyasachin. Dexterous, ambidextrous, they say. The one who is capable of shooting arrows efficiently both with the left and the right hand. Arjuna was such a warrior. So Savyasachin, nimitta matram bhava. Now this is a very important instruction. So Arjuna, when you win the war, after killing all your enemies, never say, I did it. Because of my dexterity, because of my ability, because of my strength, I killed all of them. Never say that. Then what you should say? You must say, Bhagavan, I am only a nimitta, an instrument in your hands. Everything you did, I was only an instrument in your hands. You got your work done through your instrument, which is me. This way you must say. Nimitta matram bhava savyasachin. The tendency in us is to take credit for all the great things done by us. This is the general tendency in all of us. So Arjuna, never fall prey to this dangerous tendency, calamitous tendency. Remain always as an instrument in my hands. Never have a sense of doership. This is the warning given by the Lord. The world may give yashas to you, they will praise you, they will award you, reward you, recognize you, that's all fine. But you should be very clear that this yashas belongs to Bhagavan alone. Now here a discussion is necessary. A question may come in our mind, does it mean that we are all mere puppets in the hands of the Lord? Does it mean we have no free will? Such a question can arise, and generally this is a very commonly asked question. Now, this question can be answered from various levels, from various standpoints. Let us first take the highest standpoint. From the highest standpoint, Jivatma has no existence. This we all know. We all are Vedantic students, so therefore much discussion is not necessary here. We know Paramatma alone exists. Jivatma is a mere illusion. Paramatma, misunderstood as BMI, body, mind, intellect, is Jivatma. Supreme Self misunderstood as body, mind, intellect, is individual self. So, Jivatma is born out of ignorance, born out of wrong notion. Therefore, we can say Jivatma or ego is non-existent. Now, for an unreal ego, can there be real action? For an unreal ego, can there be real action? No. How can illusory ego perform real action? Only a real entity can perform real action. Just like only a real fire can burn a real screen. Illusory fire in the movie cannot burn a real screen. So, therefore, illusory ego can never perform real action. All actions must belong to the real entity only. And the real entity is only God or Paramatma or Supreme Self. Hence, from the highest standpoint, we can say God alone is the doer of all actions. Because there is nobody other than God who can do any other action. Because there is nobody other than God who can do any action. So, all actions must belong to God alone. So, naturally a question comes, if God is the doer, then God alone must be the enjoyer also. If God is the karta, then He alone must be the bhokta also. If karma belongs to God, karma phala should also belong to God. But this is not what we see in this world. What do we see in the world? We see Jivatma suffering the karma phalas. So, if you say God is doing everything, why is Jivatma, why are we suffering in this world, going through different karma phalas? If karma belongs to God, karma phala should also belong to God. How come karma phala is coming to us? So, the answer is true. God alone is the doer. But what do we say and what do we believe when we perform action? When we perform action, we say and we strongly believe also that I am the doer. Really speaking, God is the doer, but I say I am the doer and I believe also that I am the doer. Now the law is, if we think that we are the doer, then we must become the enjoyer also. If we think we are the doer, we will become the enjoyer also. Now this is the biggest mistake we commit. So where is the mistake? The mistake is in the wrong notion that I am the doer. So because of this wrong notion that I am the doer, I become the enjoyer also. That is also a wrong notion. I am the doer is a wrong notion. I am the enjoyer also is a wrong notion. So therefore, this is a mistake we all commit. With a sense of doership, we perform action and therefore there is enjoyership also. This is a very big mistake. Now Bhagavan is correcting Arjuna. Bhagavan is warning Arjuna from committing this mistake. What is Bhagavan saying? Nimitta matram bhava. Arjuna, never say I am the doer. Always say I am only a nimitta, an instrument in the hands of the Lord. If this is the attitude, then what will happen? When we don't become the karta, when we become only an instrument, naturally we will not become bhokta also. karma phala will not come to us. Then what happens? The repeated birth-death cycle also stops. Because we are repeatedly born in this world only to reap the results of our action. So the moment I say, no, these actions are not mine, it belongs to Bhagavan, I am only an instrument. So naturally, when you escape from Karta Bhava, you will escape from Bhokta Bhava also. In this way, you will gain liberation. So for the sake of liberation, Bhagavan is saying, Arjuna, nimitta matram bhava, though you are Savyasachin, yes, you are a dexterous person, you are very efficient. So therefore, with your efficiency, you will win the war. But after winning the war, never say, I did it. The fact is, I am getting things done through you. I am the real doer, you are only an instrument. Let your attitude be right while performing this action of fighting the war. Now another question may come. If you say, Lord alone is the doer of everything, then the criminal action of a criminal also must be done by God. If God is the doer of everything, then He must be the doer of the criminal actions of a criminal also. Now, to answer this question, let us see. Suppose there is a criminal who is just going to do a crime. Now, when he is going to do a crime, from within there is a voice of conscience which guides him. This voice of conscience is there in every one of us. There is a voice which guides us, motivating us to do the right thing and discouraging us from doing the wrong thing. This voice of God, this voice of conscience is there in everyone. So when the criminal is going to do the crime, if he looks within and listens to this voice of conscience, he will clearly hear the voice, don't do it. This is a criminal act. You will suffer the consequences. This voice is there, and this is the voice of God. But this criminal, disregarding this voice, ignoring this voice, goes ahead and does the crime. So now who is responsible for this crime? You cannot say God is responsible. He alone is responsible for this crime. God was guiding him from within. He did not listen to this guidance. So therefore, that action which is performed by disobeying God cannot be called God's action. So actions performed ignoring God, actions performed compelled by our vasanas, actions performed compelled by our likes and dislikes, actions performed compelled by our egoistic desires, such actions cannot be called God's actions. But actions which we perform listening to this inner voice, and remember, the inner voice will always guide us in the righteous path, in the noble path, in the divine path. This voice will guide us only in such direction. So when actions are performed listening to the Lord, when actions are performed obeying the Lord, those actions alone can be called God's action. So here nimitta matram bhava means sharanagato bhava. Surrender unto the Lord. Being an instrument of the Lord means surrendering unto the Lord. Surrendering unto the Lord means doing what He wants us to do, not what we like to do. If we are acting according to our likes and dislikes, we are ruled by the ego and not ruled by the Lord. When we are ruled by the ego, then those actions don't become Bhagavan's actions, they become the actions of the ego. And therefore, the result must be enjoyed by the ego alone. Our action becomes Lord's action only when there is total surrender. When we allow ourselves to be ruled by the Lord, then our actions become God's action, and then we become mere instruments in the hands of the Lord. Then such actions don't harm us, such actions don't bind us. So, nimitta matra means what? Surrender. Being an instrument of the Lord means surrender. Allowing Bhagavan to perform His will by making us His instrument. This is the way actions must be done. Then we will be free from all bondages. This is what Bhagavan is telling. Now, this is an instruction which is applicable to all of us, because this is the mistake we are doing while performing our duties and responsibilities. This is a mistake we do. Never say, I did it. Always say, Bhagavan, I am only an instrument through which you do your work. Hanumanji was a perfect instrument of the Lord. If you read Sundarkand, so there Hanumanji is compared with the arrow shot by the Lord. Now, this is a beautiful comparison. Hanumanji is compared with the arrow of the Lord. Now, if you see who hits the target, it is the arrow which hits the target. At least this is what we see. We don't see the shooter, we see the arrow flying and shooting the target. We see only the arrow, but we don't give the credit to the arrow for hitting the target. We give the credit to the shooter, isn't it? Why? Because he is the one who chose that arrow. He is the one who decided the direction of the arrow. He is the one who decided the speed of the arrow. And he is the one who shot the arrow. Arrow is only a mere instrument which has surrendered complete to the shooter. What is the job of arrow? It completely surrenders itself to the shooter, and therefore the shooter is able to use the arrow according to his will. Isn't it? An arrow has no will of its own, and because the arrow has surrendered completely, the shooter is able to use it and help it reach the target. In the same way, Hanumanji also, after doing all the work in Lanka, finding out Sita Mata and burning Lanka, etc., after his travel to Lanka, he comes back successfully from Lanka. And then, when everybody was praising Hanumanji, Hanumanji falls at the feet of the Lord and says, Bhagavan, save me. Because actually I did not do anything, everything was done by you. You alone did everything. Bhagavan, I am a mere monkey who knows only to jump from one branch to another. You are the one who made me capable of doing everything. In every step you guided me, Bhagavan. You inspired me, you strengthened me, you blessed me. And thus we could achieve success. Therefore, success belongs to you alone. Hanumanji absolutely refused to take any credit for the success. And then Bhagavan blesses him with deep, abiding devotion. Hanumanji was not ready to get up. He was at his feet saying, Trahimam, Pahimam. Bhagavan, save me, don't praise me like this, because if you praise in my foolishness, my ego will swell and I may start believing that I alone did everything. So Bhagavan, don't push me into this great danger of samsara. This is what Hanumanji says. So, nimitta matra means allowing the Lord to work through us. The beautiful example of flute, we all know. Only when the flute is empty, Bhagavan can bring out his music through that flute. So, we all should become empty like that flute. Only then he can play his music through us, he can get his work done through us. So Bhagavan is inspiring Arjuna to fight. The same topic continues in the next verse also, verse number 34. Dronam cha bhishmam cha jayadratham cha karnam tathanyanapi yodhaviran maya hatastvam jahima vyathishthaah yudhyasva jetasi rane sapatnan. Dronam cha bhishmam cha jayadratham cha karnam tathanyanapi yodhaviran maya hatanstvam jahima vyathishthaah yudhyasva jetasi rane sapatnan. So Bhagavan says, Ma vyathishtha. Arjuna, don't grieve. Don't have any kind of doubt as to who will win the war. Don't have any kind of worry, anxiety or tension regarding the outcome of the war. Why? Because Rane sapatnan jetasi. You will surely win over the enemies and thus you will win the war. Therefore, Tvam Jahi, you kill them. But Bhagavan, they are invincibles. It is impossible to even defeat them. What to talk of killing them? It's very difficult. It's impossible rather. So then Bhagavan assures Arjuna, Maya hatan. Arjuna, I am telling you again and again, I have killed them. Arjuna, I have already killed them. You just act as though you are killing them. And who are the people whom I have killed? Dronam, Dronacharya, Bhishmam, Bhishmacharya, Jayadratham, Jayadratha, Karnam, Karna, Tatha, Anyan api Yodhaviran, and also all the other prominent warriors of Kaurava forces like Duryodhana, Dushasana, Shakuni, Shalya, etc. Now specifically these names are mentioned. Drona, Bhishma, Jayadratha, Karna. Why these names are mentioned? Now there is a reason for it. These were the people who were real obstacles for Pandavas to win the war. Number one, Bhishma. Bhishma is a personality who is an Ichha Marani, someone who has death under his control. The one who has the power to decide when to die. He is so powerful that even Parashurama, an avatar of the Lord, could not defeat him. Now you can imagine his power. Even Parashurama could not defeat him. Bhishma himself says that nobody could defeat him as long as he is wielding weapon in his hand. And now this Bhishma is the commander-in-chief of Kaurava forces. And so therefore, as long as he is there as the chief, Arjuna knew that Kauravas will not be defeated. So Bhishma was a big obstacle for Pandavas. Bhagavan says, Arjuna, I have killed Bhishma already. The second name is Dronacharya, the guru of Pandavas and Kauravas. All the techniques, the strategies, warfare strategy, everything they have learned from Dronacharya, a master of warfare. Now even Dronacharya says that as long as he has a weapon in his hand, none could defeat him. Bhagavan says, Arjuna, I have killed Drona also. Then comes Jayadratha. His father had received a boon that whoever makes Jayadratha's head fall on earth, that person's head would explode into thousands of pieces. So therefore it was very dangerous to kill Jayadratha also. Bhagavan says, I have killed him also. Then comes Karna. Karna was invincible because he had this Kavacha and Kundala given by his father. Kavacha means armor, Kundala means earring. So as long as he was endowed with Kavacha and Kundala, nobody could defeat Karna, nobody could kill Karna. This Kavacha and Kundala was given by his father, Surya Bhagavan. And moreover, Karna was considered as equal in all respects to Arjuna as far as archery was concerned. He was skilled just like Arjuna. Bhagavan says, I have killed Karna also. So Bhishma, Drona, Jayadratha, Karna, Arjuna, don't worry about them. I have already finished them. I know that deep down you have this fear, how to defeat them, how to eliminate them. You have this fear, so don't have any of this kind of fear because I have already killed them. So when Arjuna listens to this words of Bhagavan, assuring words of Bhagavan that they are definitely going to win the war, they are definitely going to defeat the enemies, etc. Now what happens to Arjuna? The next verse talks about Arjuna's response to these words of Bhagavan. Verse number 35. It is spoken by Sanjay. Sanjaya uvacha etachrutva vachanam keshavasya kritanjalirvepamanah kiriti namaskritva bhuya evaha krishnam sagadgadam bhita bhitah pranamya etachrutva vachanam keshavasya kritanjalirvepamanah kiriti namaskritva bhuya evaha krishnam sagadgadam bhita bhitah pranamya. Yes. So what happened to Arjuna when he listened to these words? Keshavasya etat vachanam srutva. Listening to these words of the Lord. Kiriti. Kiriti means the one who has kirita, crown. So here Kiriti means Arjuna. Kiriti Arjuna, Kritanjalihi, with folded palms. Vepamanaha, trembling. Namaskritva, having prostrated to the Lord. Bhuyaha eva, once again. Bhita bhitaha, full of fear. Pranamya, bowing down to him. Sagadgadam, with faltering voice, aha, he spoke. So, prostrating unto the Lord with folded palms, trembling with fear, Arjuna spoke with faltering voice. So here we find that Arjuna had deep reverence for the Lord on one side, and on the other side he had extreme fear also. So reverence plus fear is what we see in Arjuna. So Kritanjali, Namaskritva, Pranamya, these terms indicate Arjuna's devotion, love, respect and reverence for the Lord. Bhita Bhitaha, Vepamanaha, these terms indicate Arjuna's fear for the Lord. Now, when do we revere the Lord? When we see the perfection of the Lord, we revere Him. When do we fear the Lord? When we see our imperfection, we fear Him. You see? When we see the perfection of the Lord, we revere Him. When we see our imperfection, we fear Him. So both these feelings are found in Arjuna. What is the reason why he is having so much of devotion, reverence, etc. for the Lord? When we see how much Bhagavan loves us, we revere Bhagavan. When we see the perfection in the Lord, we revere the Lord. When we see His justice and impartiality, we revere Him. When we realize that everything happens only by His will and His command, we revere Him. Arjuna was touched when he comes to know that Lord is fulfilling His responsibility. Killing all these enemies, it is His responsibility. Bhagavan says, Arjuna, I did it for you. I have already done it for you. You just take some credit for it. See? Arjuna was touched to see how much the Lord loved dharma and righteousness. Lord was always with Pandavas. Throughout Mahābhārata you will find Bhagavan always took the side of Pandavas because Pandavas were always walking the path of righteousness. So Arjuna was touched to see Bhagavan always with the righteous people. Again Arjuna was touched when he saw with what concern Lord was protecting the humble and the meek, and how He was punishing the crooked, wicked, unrighteous Kauravas. Arjuna was touched to see how Lord was protecting His devotees. And that is why this Namaskara, Pranama and Kritanjali from Arjuna. All-powerful Lord is always with the humble and the meek, the obedient, the righteous. So that is why Bhagavan says, Arjuna, you will win the war because you are the dharmic side. Doesn't matter even if your army is small. Doesn't matter even if these invincible people, Bhishma, Drona, etc., they are on the other side. Doesn't matter. There is one thing which is with you, and that is righteousness. So definitely you are going to win. So these words of the Lord, it melted the heart of Arjuna. So that's why that Namaskara, Pranama, Kritanjali, his heart was overflowing with devotion and love for God, reverence for God, gratitude for God. But on the other side, there was fear also. When does fear come? Fear comes when we become aware of our wrongdoings, when we become aware of our weaknesses, our papakarmas, our defects, when we become aware that there is a Lord who is a direct witness to all our evil thoughts and words, deeds and intentions. When we become aware of this, then that awareness creates fear in us, because we come to know that we cannot cheat God. He is the very witness in me, the very observer in me, the very consciousness in me. So when we come to know that Bhagavan is watching all our wicked thoughts, etc., then we fear Him. Now, why Arjuna is having this fear? Arjuna himself is going to narrate it in the later verses, so we will not discuss that part. He himself is going to narrate why he is full of fear. So now, Gadgadam, with a faltering voice, out of gratitude, out of devotion, and of course out of fear also, with a faltering voice, now Arjuna speaks. What does he say? Verse number 36. Arjuna uvacha sthane rishikesha tava prakirtya jagat prahrishyatyanurajyate cha rakshamsi bhitani disho dravanti sarve namasyanti cha siddha sanghaha sthane rishikesha tava prakirtya jagat prahrishyatyanurajyate cha rakshamsi bhitani disho dravanti sarve namasyanti cha siddha sangha. Hey Rishikesha, O Lord, the inner controller of all beings, sthane, it is but proper, it is but natural. This is the way it should be. This is the way it should happen. What is that? Tava prakirtya, by glorifying you, jagat prahrishyati, the world rejoices. Everyone is delighted by glorifying you. Prakirtya, by doing the kirtana of you, glorifying you. The world rejoices when they glorify you. And therefore, cha anurajyate, there is anuraga for you. Their hearts are filled with love and devotion for you when they glorify you. It is but natural. Bhitani rakshamsi, the frightened, fear-filled Rakshasas, what do? Dishaha dravanti, they run in all directions, afraid of you. Sarve siddha sanghaha namasyanti, all these enlightened ones, the perfected ones, what do? They bow down to you. It is but natural. This is how it should happen. Sthane, it is but natural. Bhagavan, it is but natural that all worship you, all bow down to you, all prostrate unto you, surrender unto you, glorify you, take refuge in you. It is but natural, Bhagavan. Why? Because what happens when they take refuge in you and glorify you? Tava prakirtya, by glorifying you, by doing your kirtan. When they remember you, surrender to you, take refuge in you, what happens? Jagat prahrishyati, the world rejoices. Prahrishya, there is harsha. Harsha means joy. So everyone rejoices by doing kirtana of yours. Our hearts are filled with peace, joy, happiness, auspiciousness, bliss, etc. And anurajyate, so therefore naturally we are filled with anuraga for you, love for you, devotion for you. We are filled with love and devotion for you. It is but natural that those who give peace and happiness to us, we love them in return, isn't it? Why do we love Bhagavan? We love Bhagavan because whenever we chant His name, mind is filled with peace. So the one who gives peace and happiness, it is but natural to love such a Bhagavan. So anurajyate. Rakshamsi bhitani disho dravanti. What happens when we do your kirtanam? when we glorify you, all the Rakshasas become filled with fear and they run away from us in all directions. Now at the subjective level also, this is true. So at the subjective level, who are these Rakshasas? The negativities of the mind, Kama, Krodha, Raga, Dvesha, Ahankara, Mamakara, bitterness, dejection, depression, inferiority, superiority, complex, confusions, delusions. These are all the Rakshasas in our mind. So what happens when we do Bhagwan's Kirtanam, when we chant his holy name? What happens? All these negativities disappear. Now this is something which we all have experienced in our lives. The moment we chant Bhagwan's name with all Shraddha Bhakti, the mind becomes cheerful and peaceful and all negativities disappear. So that is the meaning, Rakshamsi Bhitani Disho Dravanti. So this is beautifully depicted through all the stories in the Puranas. So if you see the stories of the Puranas, there is a fixed pattern in all stories. What is the fixed pattern? These devatas, they forget God in their pleasures, comforts and luxuries. And when they are careless and indulgent, the asuras attack them. And when devatas are defeated, they go and take refuge in Vishnu. Then Vishnu Bhagwan comes and protects the devatas by defeating asuras. This is a typical story of Purana. Actually speaking, this is our story also. When we are careless, when we are forgetful of God, at that time all negativities, they occupy our heart. We become miserable, worried, tensed, anxious, depressed, etc. So where is this Devasura Yuddha happening? It is happening in our own mind. So when we are careless and indulgent, negative thoughts occupy the mind. This is nothing but Rakshasas conquering the Devatas. Then what do? Then we pray to the Lord, seeking forgiveness. So this is the Devatas going to Vishnu Bhagwan. Then Vishnu Bhagwan comes and defeat all these Rakshasas. So when we chant the name of the Lord, what happens? All the negativities disappear and again the mind is filled with positivity and we are ready to face the challenges of life. So actually it is a subjective story. Devasura Yuddha is happening constantly in our heart. And compared to Devatas, Asuras are very, very strong. This is the meaning that Pandavas are having only 7 Akshauhini, Kauravas are having 11 Akshauhini. Means what? It is the story of our heart. Negativities are much more stronger than the goodness in us. But there is a way to destroy these negativities. What is the way? Tava prakirtya. Bhagwan's kirtanam, glorification of the Lord is the way. Remembering the Lord, surrendering unto the Lord is the way. So Arjuna says, Thane, it is but natural that everybody bows down to you, surrenders unto you, sing your glories. Sarve Siddha Sanghaha Namasyanti, all the Siddha Sanghas, groups of Siddhas. Siddha means perfected being, enlightened being. They are also in different groups, Groups means what? So all the Mahatmas who have followed various paths. So there are so many paths in the spiritual field. Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga, Raja Yoga, Kundalini Yoga, Hatha Yoga. So many paths are given. So all the Mahatmas of all the paths, Siddha Sangha means that. So all the Mahatmas of all the paths, one thing is common in all the Mahatmas. What is that common thing? Namasyanti. They bow down to you. So whichever the path you may take, one thing is common in all the path. In all the path, you have to surrender unto that Supreme Lord, the ultimate truth. So Sarve Siddha Sangaha Namasyanti. So these masters, these spiritual masters, they have mastered in one thing. What is their mastery? What is the mastery of spiritual masters? The mastery of spiritual masters is they have mastered the art of surrendering unto the Lord. This is their mastery. And this is the most important thing in this world, because peace of mind comes only through surrender. So spiritual masters, when we say masters, they are masters in what? They are masters in surrender. Bowing down has become so natural to them. Effacing the ego has become so natural to them. How did it become natural to them? By constantly doing it again and again, it has become natural to them. It has become a habit. So therefore, all these Mahatmas, Sarve Siddha Sanghaha Namasyanti. But why is it that when we surrender unto the Lord, we experience peace of mind? So Arjuna explains the reason in the next verse, verse number 37. We will see it in the next class. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayah Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om.